Welcome to our 2026 webinar series, America 250. As we honor our nation's semi-quincentennial, we will focus on securing financial independence for American families. Whether it be long-term care, disability, annuities, or life, insurance is all we do. And we look forward to providing comprehensive knowledge of these valuable financial instruments to assist you in best serving your clients. In today's presentation, we will identify the different types of annuities and their benefits, translate annuity statements into easy-to-understand language for clients, and determine which annuity would be best for your client's specific needs. Today's webinar is being recorded and will last about 50 minutes. You must be logged in the full 50 minutes to receive CFP credit. Please be sure to ask questions as you have them by typing them into the questions box. We will answer all questions as best we can. If we do not get to your question today, you will receive a response by email. The webinar will be posted to our website within 24 hours. Today's presenter joined LLIS in 2008 and has over 20 years of experience analyzing, studying, and researching annuity solutions. And today he will be sharing his valuable expertise with you. Here to present is Jerry Skabiak.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for joining today's webinar. We're going to talk about annuities. What's the best fit? We're going to cover 5 main types of annuities in the beginning of this presentation. So we're going to look at fixed deferred annuities, immediate annuities, deferred income annuities, qualified longevity annuity contracts, and indexed annuities. So let's start with fixed deferred annuities. So what are they? Think of them kind of like you would a CD you would get from a bank. You're going to get a fixed rate that's going to be guaranteed for a set number of years. The annuities are going to have a surrender charge, and that surrender charge will match the rate period. So, for example, if you have a 2-year fixed rate, it will have a 2-year surrender charge. 5-year rate's going to have a 5-year surrender charge. And most annuities will allow a certain amount that can be withdrawn free of any surrender charges each year. Now, that could be 10%, could be 15%. It may be the prior year's interest. It could be 3 or 5%. Just depends. I'm starting to see more in the industry. Companies are lowering the amount that could be withdrawn free. It allows them to bump the interest rate a little bit more so they can be more competitive with each other. If you have a client where it's important to be able to withdraw a certain amount each year out, just let me know and we can look at companies that will meet those requirements. As I said, these annuities do have a surrender charge. And why do they have a surrender charge? Well, one, it's to help the insurance company recoup the commissions that have been paid to insurance agents. And then also, there's underwriting expenses. Now, it's not underwriting like you would think with life insurance, where the insurance company is looking at the client's health. It's more of financial underwriting. The insurance company is going to make sure that the annuity is going to be a suitable investment for the client. So they're basically doing this to help protect the clients. And then normally the surrender charge is going to be decreasing. It's very common to see the surrender charge decrease by 1% a year. Some companies, it's level every year. It just depends on the company. And then the taxation of annuities. With annuities, since they grow tax deferred, when money is taken out, the gains are going to come out first. And those gains are going to be taxed as ordinary income. So annuities are last in, first out, meaning the money they earn in that annuity is going to be taxed first. And those gains are taxed as ordinary income. There are no capital gains tax on annuities. It's always going to be ordinary income tax on them. And because they are considered retirement products, If they withdraw money out before age 59 and a half, the interest they've earned in the annuity is going to be have that 10% penalty tax that's going to be on top of the ordinary income tax on the annuities. So just keep that in mind when looking at annuities for younger clients that maybe are a little bit away from retirement age. There's a saying, once money's in an annuity, it's always in an annuity. And it's kind of because of how the taxation is on annuities. It's always going to be taxed as ordinary income, and if they take the money out before 59 and a half, they're going to have that 10% penalty on the gains also. So kind of like what's been like the latest with annuities is kind of the interest rates. For a number of years, I'm sure everybody is aware of, interest rates have been fairly low. But starting in 2023, interest rates started to creep up. They kind of peaked about 2 years ago, June of 2024. That's kind of where we had the high point. But interest rates still are fairly high. They're not that much off of their high mark from what I've seen. So fixed annuities are still fairly favorable, and advisors have been using them for their clients. Today's interest rates, this is where they're at. We got the 3-year at 5.35. 5-year is kind of like the high point at 5.5%. A lot of people wonder why there are 10-year rates who would lock money up for 10 years. Here's something to consider. If you have an older client, and when I mean older, a client that is, say, in their 80s, and they have an existing annuity and they're just plan on passing that on to their beneficiaries. Typically, when a client hits age 90, they can no longer renew annuities. They actually have to start taking money out or surrender them. Where we can kind of work the system a little bit is you have a client, let's say they're 88, you can still get a 10-year deferred annuity, pushing that age out to where they're going to have to start taking money out of the annuity into their 90s with it. So that's just something, just kind of remember that. We do a couple of those a year for older clients that are in that situation where they just want to pass money on to the beneficiaries. It's a way we can help do that for them. All right. Please ask questions as I go along as you have them. I don't see any yet, so I'm going to keep moving on. Next up is going to be immediate annuities. There we go. So one of the common questions I get with immediate annuities is how much money should be put into an immediate annuity? Well, I always kind of say cover the fixed expenses for the client with guaranteed income. So a lot of clients should receive Social Security. If they're fortunate enough, they're going to have a pension. And when you're looking at that guaranteed income that they have coming in, if that's not covering their fixed expenses like a mortgage, utility bills, groceries, and insurance premiums, you can't forget those insurance premiums. If their fixed income they have coming in from other sources aren't covering these fixed expenses, well, it might make sense to add an immediate annuity to their portfolio to help cover those fixed expenses. When you have enough fixed income coming in to cover those basic living expenses for a client, you can be a little bit more risky with the rest of the client's portfolio. Let's see, I see some questions coming in. Are all annuities considered retirement accounts? Yes, so they can be set up. They're considered retirement accounts because they grow tax deferred. So they can be funded with both non-qualified and qualified money. With that, there's some standard calculation for commissions paid to agents. It varies greatly by annuity. Um, Generally, with fixed deferred annuities, almost for any fixed annuity, excluding immediate annuities, your commissions are going to range somewhere from 3% on down from there. When you get into the indexed annuities, there are some annuities out there that pay fairly high commissions. When I say high, like over 10% on them. Generally, from your least reputable companies will offer annuities like that. That's generally when you see long surrender charges on indexed annuities. Can be well over 10 years. Those are generally annuities that have had higher commissions. All right. So with the annuities, we want to cover these basic living expenses. Now, what's nice with immediate annuities, there are several payout options that clients can select from, and they all can fit different needs for clients. There are some that are just period certain, they're non lifetime, they're just going to pay for a set period of time. And then there's lifetime payment options, which cover the client's life. Um, with a period certain type payout, what we use most often for clients is either going to be like a 5 year period certain, maybe a 10 year period certain. When we're looking to like bridge the gap from when a client retires until they start receiving Social Security. With a period certain payment, we'll use a 5 year period certain as an example. That annuity is going to make payments for 5 years. If the client passes away before they reach the end of that period certain, payments will continue to their beneficiary. That's what the period certain really means. And then there's the lifetime payments, which is what's more commonly used. The lifetime payments has several options on it. A life only payment is going to give you the highest payout to the client. That annuity is going to make payments as long as the client is alive, and once they pass away, payments will stop. So yes, a client can purchase the annuity, receive one payment, pass away, insurance company will keep the rest of that money. A lot of clients don't like that idea, so then they'll start adding on guarantees, and when you start adding guarantees on, payments will start going down. So you can do a life and a period certain payout. And that period certain can be life in 10, 15, 20, 30 years on there. And those annuities are going to pay for as long as that client lives, or if they pass away early, will pay for the length of the period certain. So we'll go through an example. Let's say a client has a life and a 10-year period certain payout. If the client's receiving payments and they pass away after 7 years, that annuity will continue to make payments to their beneficiary for the next 3 years, fulfilling that 10-year period certain part. After they've made the payments for those additional 3 years, or a total of 10 years, payments will stop. Now, if the client lives beyond 10 years, it's going to make payments as long as that client is alive. A lot of times when I'm asked for a quote for an immediate annuity, I send a life and a 10-year period certain. Usually doesn't cost much adding that 10-year period certain on, and gives a little security to the client knowing the insurance company is not going to fully win if they pass away prematurely. Now, there are other payout options, life with installment refund or life with cash refund. These are actually my two favorite payout options. These guarantee that at a minimum, the annuity is going to pay out the premium that has been paid in. So let's say a client puts in $100,000 in the annuity and they pass away after the annuity is paid out $80,000. With the installment refund option, that annuity is going to continue to make the payments to the beneficiary until that other $20,000 has been paid out. Whereas the cash refund option will just write a check to the beneficiary for the $20,000. So kind of like, does the client want to rule from the grave, or do they have a spendthrift beneficiary? If they got that spendthrift beneficiary, they want to control what's going to happen to that money. You do the installment refund option because the payments continue to the beneficiary. If it's going to beneficiary, they're not concerned with what they do with the money, then you go with the cash refund option. Generally, not too much of a difference in the payouts on them, but like I said, one just kind of depends on what the person purchasing the annuity, how they want to control the money going to the beneficiaries. Here's a look where payouts are today. So here we have Tate. He's age 70. We're putting in a $200,000 premium. And as you can see, a life-only payout's going to pay $1,501 a month. Going down to the 10-year period certain, it drops down to $1,438. And if we go down to my two favorite payout options, it's $1,409 or $1,399. With immediate annuities, it's kind of the exception to the rule where all the gains come out first. So you have this exclusion ratio. I'm going to get back to the exclusion ratio. We're going to talk about it in a little bit more detail in a couple of slides. Now, with these payout options, we kind of looked at a single individual, but we can do all these payout options with a joint spouse, or it could be a spouse, doesn't have to necessarily be a spouse. And you can mimic this kind of like how you would see pension payouts. You can do 100% to the surviving spouse, 50%, or almost any number in between those you can select. So here we have Leaf and Liberty. Leaf's 70, Liberty's 72, $200,000 premium. And then these are the joint payouts. Joint life is $1,306. And you see going down to the joint life and 10-year certain, very little difference, $4 a month difference on it. And even going down to installment refund or cash refund, really not giving up that much on it. Now, one thing for some reason with joint life, it can be surprising sometimes when you see quotes that the joint life and 10-year will have a higher payout than a joint life. The reason for that is insurance companies don't like doing life-only payouts. They really want clients to take some type of guarantee on it. That stem from some insurance companies have been sued over the years by beneficiaries saying, why did you sell my parents a life-only payout? They had health problems. They should have never purchased this. And insurance companies, just to avoid litigation and everything, are just writing checks to beneficiaries. So what insurance companies have done now is they've kind of balanced out these payments a little bit more to entice clients to kind of go with doing some type of guarantee on the annuity. Once again, you're seeing exclusion ratio on this. Now, of course, if the client's funding these with qualified money, there is no exclusion ratio. The payments are fully taxable to them. So let's touch on an exclusion ratio here. So what is this? Well, it's the exception to the rule that annuities pay out all the gains first. That's one of the nice things with an immediate annuity. It's going to spread those gains out over the insured's lifetime. Or if you're doing like a period certain payout, it spreads it out over that period certain. And then each payment is then part cost basis and taxable gain to them. So like another example, like where we'll use a 5-year period certain, is if you have a client that has, let's say they've inherited an annuity, or they have a life insurance policy that has a gain, or that inherited annuity has a gain. Even when clients inherit annuities, even though the death benefit is going to be equal to the account value, or maybe it's higher than the account value, it is still anything over cost basis is considered gain. So we have done 5-year period certain payouts for clients that have inherited annuities, or if they have a life insurance policy with a gain and they want to get out of it. Doing like a 5-year period certain will spread that gain out over the 5 years and avoids them from getting that tax hit all in the first year if they do just withdrawals or if they just surrender the policy. So the exclusion ratio with an immediate annuity can be a nice benefit for clients when they have other products with gains and they do want to get out of them. Now, with immediate annuities, there are limitations of how much money you can put in them. And this is a pretty hardened rule with insurance companies. They're going to limit the amount they can put in is up to 50% of investable assets. The reason for this is they're protecting clients from themselves. It doesn't matter if the client has only $100,000 of investable assets or if they have $1 million of investable assets. It doesn't matter if you take on that pro bono client and they have maybe $40,000 in savings, and no matter how much you run the plan and putting $30,000 in immediate annuity stops them from spending too much money and will greatly help them in the long run. Insurance companies are not going to do it. They're going to limit it at 50%, the max amount that can be put into an immediate annuity. I do have on here 100% for qualified funds. It's going to really depend on what they have in other assets before an insurance company is going to allow 100% to go in, but it can be possible with qualified money. All right, moving on, let's talk a little bit about deferred income annuities with them. So what is a deferred income annuity? Well, it's a cross between a deferred annuity and an immediate annuity. It's going to insure your clients against living too long. So a lot of times when these first come out, they were known as longevity insurance. They're really more known now as deferred income annuities, which is what they really are. And they're usually used to supplement retirement solutions for clients. Now, with these products, they are only single premium. You cannot do multiple premiums going into them, and that's because when the money goes in, their payouts are going to be calculated what they will be in the future. They're going to guarantee an income stream that's going to start 2 to 30 years in the future. And that first payment can be deferred up to age 85. Most of the time, we are deferring these to either age 80 or 85. It seems to be the most common. And your payout options are very similar to what we've just talked about on immediate annuities. So you can do life only, life in period certain, life in cash or installment refund on these. No lump sum payouts on them. So once payments begin, they're going to receive that monthly income or annual income, however we set it up. They're going to receive that. They cannot get a lump sum out of these annuities when they're purchased. There is a death benefit available on them that will pay a lump sum to a beneficiary. So it's not like installment refund, cash refund, or period certain on it. The death benefit is payable if the client dies before payments begin. Once payments begin, there's no longer a death benefit available to the beneficiary. Any type of benefit to beneficiary is going to depend on the payment option they have at that time. And taxes are going to be due to the owner of the annuity once payments start. So these annuities are going to grow tax deferred the whole time they are being deferred until payments begin. Qualified longevity annuity contracts. Very similar to deferred income annuities with some subtle differences. Well, first, they are single premiums, but maximum you can put in is $210,000, and they are for qualified money only. You cannot use Roth money for these products. Once again, payments will begin 2 to 30 years in the future. Typically, we're deferring these payments to age 80, 85. And you only have 2 payout options available, life only and life and cash refund option. And that's it. And like I said, you can defer those payments up to age 85. There are no lump sum payouts on the products. You can get a death benefit on them if you would like. That will be paid to the beneficiary if they pass away before payments begin. And taxes are due by the owner when payments begin. Now, one of the reasons why QLACs are very popular is because the money you put in them is now excluded from RMD calculations, which can reduce taxes. So for those clients that you have that have a fair amount of qualified assets, they're getting ready to hit 70 and a half, 71 and a half, and now they got to start taking money out of their qualified accounts, increasing their taxable income, which they don't want. You can move $210,000 into a QLAC, and that $210,000 is going to be removed from that RMD calculation. And if it's a couple and they each have their own qualified money, you can do that for both of them. So a lot of times this is being used to help reduce their RMDs they have to take every year. Now the payouts on these products is the same, whether it's a deferred income annuity or a QLAC, it's the same payout. Single life here with a death benefit is going to pay $53.23, and we have Eustace here who's age 65. We're using $100,000 premium. We're beginning payments at age 85. So with a death benefit, pays $53.23. Without a death benefit, he's going to get about $1,000 more a month starting at age 85. Why is this so much higher? Odds are he's more than likely not going to make it to age 85. Insurance companies do understand that most clients purchasing these types of products are going to be healthier, but insurance companies have actuaries, and still the odds are the average person's not going to really make it to age 85. You can do single life with 10-year certain, single life with cash refund. You can see how it adjusts the payouts on here. You'll notice that 10-year certain is a lower payout than life with cash refund. Life with cash refund really is nothing more than a life and period certain payout. Because the payouts are so big, that $100,000 premium is going to be returned fairly quickly to the client. So it is providing a period certain, but it's going to be a short period of time, but it also helps clients understand that they're not going to lose that original $100,000 they put into the annuity. I'm not seeing any questions yet, so I'm going to continue here. Now we're going to move on to indexed annuities. So what is an indexed annuity? It is a fixed deferred annuity. They lead you to believe that you are investing into an indexed, but you're really not with these products. In the background, the insurance company is going out and buying options on indexes to hedge the risk on them. And basically, the client's going to be credited an interest rate. Their performance is going to be tied to a particular market index, but not directly invested in that index. The most common index used in index annuities is going to be the S&P 500. And most of the times they're going to have a cap, but they also have a floor of 0. And that's why clients like these products. As I like to say, the elevator pitch for these products is, would you like to be able to invest in the market without having all the risk of the downside of the market? And that's what index annuities do. They will allow the client to capture some of the upside of the market, but if the market goes down, they just simply will earn 0 that year. This is for illustrative purposes. This is a proposal that we had a number of years ago, and I use it just because it makes a good point, showing how the caps can affect the annuities. when you're looking at this, if you look here at year 2011, the S&P 500 earned zero, so the client earned zero. You go down to 2015, it was a negative year, the client just earned zero. And then again in 2018, we had a negative 6% return, the client earned zero. But if you also look here in year 2010 or even 2009, the index returned 23.45, but the client only earned 6.85%. That's the trade-off. Their insurance company is going to cap what you can earn on an index, but they are going to not let you lose any money on any of the downside on the annuity. Here we go again. These are like the 10 worst years, and this is really where clients like these because, here the market was down 23%. They basically didn't lose anything that year, but the market was up 26%, and they only got 6.85%. Now, with these annuities, there's no cost to them. There's like when you look at variable annuities, they will have, a mortality and expense charge on them. You got sub-account fees and maybe an administration fee every year on them. Index annuities don't have that. But here's an actual statement from a client, and I want you to look down here at the bottom. S&P 500 1-year point-to-point had a cap of 2.75. The index that year returned 21.1%. The client earned 2.75%. This annuity, yes, it did everything it said it was going to do. Down years, client doesn't lose any money, but it cost them roughly 17% or 18% that year in return they were not able to earn in the product. So, but we do use index annuities in certain situations. So why do we use them? It's for guaranteed income riders. Sometimes they do have higher payouts than other annuities have. And they can have long-term care benefits on them. So here's just like a snapshot of an illustration. And one thing with index annuities, when you're looking at them, if a client brings you an illustration with them and they're using, they want to, or they're thinking about investing in it, I always say look at the 0% rate of return that we have up here. When you're looking at it, annuity, and it could be a variable annuity, but most of the time what you're going to see nowadays is going to be an index annuity with an income rider. The 0% rate of return is going to show you what is actually guaranteed in the product. The illustration is going to show you like the 10 best years, or if it's a variable annuity, they're going to illustrate, they're going to go through and handpick the funds that have had the best performance because they want to make on paper that annuity look outstanding. But what it doesn't show you is what that income rider is going to do. And when you look at the 0% rate of return, it really shows you what the annuity is going to do. And in this case, this annuity, we put in about $175,000 in the annuity. And we're really looking at the accumulation value of this annuity, and it's going to pay $14,922 every year, guaranteed for life. You look down here at year 12, the annuity runs out of money in this example, but they continue to see that income as long as they are alive. But what I really want to talk about is this is an annuity that has a long-term care feature. And if you notice here, starting in year 2, all the way at the column over on the right, that if this client needs long-term care, and meaning they don't qualify for 2 of the activities of daily living, the insurance company will double that income benefit for up to 5 years. So when you have a client that's looking for guaranteed income, even if this product comes close to what, say, an immediate annuity would do, having this benefit, knowing it's there, if the client needs long-term care, that benefit could double. I don't see why clients would not pick this. In fact, a lot of clients have been picking this lately. It will double that income for up to 5 years. And what's nice with this insurance company, what a lot of companies do is when your account value hits zero, they will no longer double this benefit, that long-term care benefit, for long-term care event. They will just continue to pay that annual income that the writer says it will do. They just won't double that long-term care benefit. This company will double it regardless if there's account value in the annuity or not. So it's a nice little feature on this particular annuity. There are some others out there that have it, but like I said, they won't continue to double the income if the account value hits zero, and also a lot of them will only double it if the client's confined to a nursing home, whereas this, it's for any long-term care needs. So it could be in-home, adult daycare, assisted living, or nursing home. They're going to double it for those 5 years. All right, looks like I got some questions that have come in. How does a death benefit work when, say, you have 5 years left on a period certain? Do you get the death benefit? With a period certain payout on an immediate annuity, the death benefit, or sorry, I'm trying to confuse here. The annuity is going to continue to make the payments for the 5 years. So if they have a 10-year period certain, the client passes away after 5 years, the annuity will continue to make payments for the remaining 5 years. Now, if it's like a deferred income annuity or a QLAC, if they've passed away before payments have begun, well, then the death benefit would be the original premium paid in, if that was elected at the time of issue. Or on those cases, if payments have started, it's going to work the same way we just talked about. If they have a 10-year period certain, they pass away after 5 years, payments will continue for the next 5 years to the beneficiary. Can a person's QLAC have joint beneficiary spouses? Yes. So a QLAC can be done as a joint. So you can add a spouse on it, and you can have multiple beneficiaries on it. QLAC limit, is it per year or only single time? It is a single time limit. The IRS sets that. Did not go up this year. It was $210,000 last year, and it remained the same this year. Hopefully they will increase it next year. So let's say it's $210,000 this year. Let's say they raise, the client purchase a QLAC this year. Let's say they raise it to $50,000 next year. Next year, the client could purchase another QLAC for that $40,000. Are DIAs subject to RMDs? With a DIA, payments have to begin before, for DIAs that are being funded with qualified money, payments have to begin before the client's RMD age. So if the client's supposed to start taking RMDs at age 71, you cannot defer that first payment beyond 71 and a half. That's the way they get, they make sure that how it works. If they have a DIA, or if they want to put qualified money in a DIA, but they don't want to start payments, let's say to age 75, then we would have to use a QLAC, and then they are subject to the $210,000 maximum. If they want to use qualified money but start payments before their RMD age, well, you can put pretty much almost as much as you want into it. those payments have to start before they're at the RMD age. All right. Let me see. If the annuitant dies and the contract passes to the heirs, is the contract stepped up to fair value so the future distributions have lower taxable income? No, unfortunately, you do not get a step up with annuities or life insurance as far as that goes. Got a couple more here. When is the best time/age to purchase an annuity for a client? Whenever they need guaranteed income. That's really the best time. Now, obviously, with a deferred income annuity or a QLAC, that's going to be dependent on the plan. I kind of talked briefly about this, but with QLACs and deferred income annuities, having that income kick in later on in the client's age will actually allow you to be a little bit more risky with their portfolio because you got that income starting in. You can always ask me for a quote. I can give you a number and you can plug it into your models and you can see those results for yourself. See this. What are your thoughts on using annuities to fill the role of traditional fixed income investments in a client's portfolio? What's the key trade-offs to the consideration? So when using traditional fixed income annuities to fill that role of income, it's an irrevocable decision to the client. So that money is removed from their portfolio. I know a lot of advisors like to use bond ladders to provide income, but you need to tie up a lot more of a client's money in bonds to produce that income than you would if you just took a smaller amount, put it in an immediate annuity to guarantee that income. You also remove the risk of interest rates by doing that. Also, using an immediate annuity as opposed to doing a bond ladder for that. And once again, you can always call me and ask me to give you some numbers so you can plug in and see how it works in a client's plan. Sorry, a lot of questions came in. I think I may have got let me see. Are there any inflation protected annuity products? So with immediate annuities, you can add on inflation protection. Most common is going to be 3% that's added on. With a DIA or a QLAC, that 3% does not start until payments begin. If you want to start income at age 75, is it better to buy a deferred annuity at a younger age? Oh, it's not all fit there. At a younger age and wait until 75 to annuitize, or is it better to wait until age 75 to buy SPIA? Great question. Annuities are especially income annuities, are highly interest rate sensitive. So it kind of depends on what you think interest rates are going to do. If you think in the long term interest rates are going to be going down, you're better off locking that money in the annuity today, or if you believe interest rates are going to go up, you're better off waiting on it. It really comes down to on how or what you feel interest rates are going to do. See, the retirement minimum distribution age is currently 73 for most retirement accounts. It is scheduled to increase to 75 starting January 1st, 2023. Okay, good. I did not know that. I am not yet anywhere near that age. Um, did that, did that. Which insurance company is this for that I have up on the screen? This is actually Midland National product. That takes care of that. Um, the original investment on the slide, I don't have that right now. I'm not exactly sure what it was on this one. I'm sorry. I think I got them all. All right. I think that's all the questions. Keep them coming. Great. I love getting questions. All right. Moving on. So this is kind of like the second half. And this is actually where I get the most questions. I think that is the most questions I've ever had on the first part of this presentation, which is great. But our time is starting to run short here, I'm noticing. So I'm going to go through this a little bit quick. You can always ask me questions if I'm going too fast. I'll be happy to answer, and I'll be happy to stay on as long as needed to answer all your questions. So what do I look at when I'm reviewing annuities? So I have like 6 main things I look at. Surrender charges. If there's a surrender charge on the annuity, there's nothing we can really do at this time. I'm going to tell you to keep the annuity and just wait until the surrender charges are gone. But if there's no surrender charges, we have some options. If it's qualified or non-qualified, if it's qualified annuity, there's no reason to keep money. A qualified annuity, if they're not going to use it for income, just move that annuity off to a qualified account that you can manage for them. If they're going to use it for income, the annuity they have may be a good choice for them, or we can always look at, moving it to an immediate annuity. If it's non-qualified, we're kind of back into where I kind of said, once an annuity, always an annuity. We got to determine what the overall objective of that annuity is. If it's a high income earner, there may be benefits to that annuity because it's growing tax deferred for them, or the overall investment strategy making tax deferral attractive for them. With it, we need to determine what the basis is on the annuity. If the account value and the basis is about even, surrender the annuity. Even if there's like a small gain in it, pay the taxes, pay the little bit of 10% penalty on the annuity, get them out from underneath the fee structure of an annuity, and then you can invest it however you see fit. If there's a large basis in the annuity, meaning the account value is less than what they put in, we could look at 1035 exchanging it to another annuity, wait for the values to grow up to the basis, and then they can surrender it. Because if you surrender that annuity and they're in a loss position in that annuity, I am not a CPA. I am told, though, they cannot write off that loss. And if there's a small basis in the annuity and a large gain, which is more than likely what I typically see, excuse me, we need to look at other options for them. So what's the cost of the annuity? What are the fees in the annuity? Basically, this is just some standard fees we see in annuities. The client's age, we've talked a little bit about this already. If they're pre-59 and a half, they surrender it, they got that 10% penalty. If there's a death benefit on the annuity. Now, most of the annuities we're going to see nowadays, that death benefit is going to be equal to the account value. There are some older annuities out there that had enhanced death benefits on them. If the death benefit is greater than the account value and that client is in poor health, it may be worth hanging on to that annuity purely for that death benefit because that's what's going to get paid to the beneficiaries. If they're not concerned with it, kind of we'll look at other options, and it kind of goes back to like where their account value is compared to the benefit base on the annuity, whether it makes sense to surrender it, maybe look at other costs of the annuities. I'm going to skip by this. This is kind of the meat of this section that most advisors are interested in. Most annuities that clients are going to come to you are going to have an income rider on it. There's two main types of income riders out there: guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit and guaranteed minimum income benefits. So I'm going to go through a little bit of example that's going to help us go through those two different riders. When you're looking at an annuity statement for a client, they're going to have two values on there. There's going to be an account value. That's their real money. That's their money they have. And then there's going to be a number called benefit base or something similar to that on it. It's basically the funny money of the annuity. It's the value of the income rider. So let's simple example here. Client has $100,000. They've been told they've been guaranteed 5%. A lot of clients think they're guaranteed 5% on their account value, but they're not. It's really guaranteed on that benefit base. So we're going to go do a simple example here. End of year one, that account value has grown to $103,000. Benefit base is worth $105,000. Now, with these annuities, you're going to have different features on them. We go to year two. Our account value has grown to $120,000, but our benefit base is now $110,000. One of the nice features when you have an income rider on the annuity, if at certain points, if the account value is greater than the benefit base, that benefit base is going to step up to equal the account value, and that can happen annual, quarterly, monthly, daily, just depends on the annuity when that calculation is done. And then in our example, year three, our account value lost some money, went down to $80,000. We still earn the 5% on our benefit base, so it's worth $126,000. And that $126,000 is only used for calculating income to the client. They cannot surrender the annuity for that amount. If they surrender it, they get the $80,000. The $126,000 is only used for calculating income. Now we're going to go back to our two examples of income riders. Most common is guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit. It is not annuitizing the annuity. It allows the client to withdraw a certain percent from the annuity. The GMIB has a withdrawal benefit and it has an annuitization benefit. We'll touch on that in a moment here. So with a GLWB rider, depending on their age, when the client takes their first withdrawal, it's going to tell you what amount or what percent they can withdraw for life. And as long as they take no more than that out, they are guaranteed to get that income as long as they are alive. So in our example, we're going to use their starting income at age 70. We're going to use 5.25%. So going back to our example, we got $80,000 account value, $126,000 benefit base. They're getting 5% of that $126,000, so they get $6,615 a year. So here we go. In our example, starting year four, they start taking $6,615 out. Simple math, we're not adding any growth. They continue to keep taking the income out of this annuity. And then we get down here to year 16, our account value reaches zero. And you'll notice the income continues forever as long as that client's alive. Now, any client that has an income annuity, they should hope to live long enough to reach the point where their account value hits zero from them taking withdrawals under the income rider. If that is not their goal, then they should get out of that annuity because they are paying for a benefit they really don't want to use. It's at this point, year 16, now the insurance company is finally on the hook to continue to pay them $6,615. And all those fees they paid all those years is giving them that benefit there. Now, with these riders, the client does have access to their cash value. So in our example, we're back to our base example, $80,000 account value, $126,000 benefit base. That client can take $40,000 out if they want. But one thing to remember is when you take additional money out, in this example, we're taking 40,000 out of the annuity, we're taking 50% of that account value, it's going to reduce the benefit base by 50% also. So going back to our example, we're taking out 40,000 in year one. Instead of our 6,615, that's going to change our withdrawals years going forward, $3,308, and that will continue as long as they're alive. Now we get out to year 20, and our account value finally hits zero, but the annuity continues to pay income. All right, I got some questions here. Let me go over that before I move on. Why did the benefit base get bumped up to match the account value in that example? Because that's how those riders work. That's one of the benefits of an income rider. That on any year, in my example, I was just using at the end of the year, if the account value is ever greater than the benefit base, the account value is going to the benefit base is going to step up to equal the account value. And then from that point forward, it continues to earn the guaranteed minimum interest rate on the annuity. Let's see. Okay, that's it for questions. So the other income rider was a guaranteed minimum income benefit. It has two parts. It has a GLWB part where the client can withdraw 5% for life, and it also has an annuitization where you can annuitize that benefit base, but you're giving up control of the annuity. Here. So under option one, they can take 5%, which give them $6,300 a year. Option two, you typically got to wait 10 years from your last step up. If you elect a step up, you got to wait another 10 years. They generally do an age setback, meaning they make the client younger when calculating that income. And they don't typically put what the annuitization value is on a statement, so you got to call an insurance company to get it. In my example, the $126,000 gets them a little bit more income, gives them $7,056 a year. Recommendations. So basically, I'm just going to summarize this really quickly. If it's a qualified annuity, more than likely what most advisors are going to do is once the annuity is out of surrender charges, they're going to roll it to a qualified account they can manage. If it has an income rider on it, it may be beneficial for them to use it for income. You wouldn't necessarily recommend they purchase an annuity if they were working with you at the time they purchased it, but it's kind of the cards we're all dealt when a new client comes in. So you got to kind of see what's best with what they have. For non-qualified annuities, I've kind of touched on what you should do with them going all along with this. If there's very little gain in the annuity, just surrender it, get rid of it. If they're in a loss position, may want to just keep the annuity or maybe look to move them to a lower cost annuity, let that value of the annuity grow to the cost basis and then surrender it at that time. Or if there's a large gain in the annuity, then we can look at annuitizing it to an immediate annuity. You get the benefit of the exclusion ratio. We can move it to a no-load annuity. We can move it to a fixed annuity if they just want to get like a guaranteed interest rate. We could move it to a hybrid annuity with long-term care benefits on it, or we could move it to, or they may just keep it for income if it's got a good income rider. That's it. I don't see any more questions on here. We're at our allotted time. I'll wait like another minute if anybody has any additional questions. Sorry for going through that last part fairly quickly. Some follow-up slides while I'm waiting for questions to come in. We are bringing back our Insurance Academy next year, January 27th to the 29th, at the Sheraton Sand Key. Reach out to us if you would like to attend. Here's our upcoming conferences. I will be at the Garrett Retreat July 30th. We have XYPN September 29th, and then the NAFA Fall Conference October 14th. Our monthly webinars, our next one is going to be in August. You can see here where the next one's coming up. And I don't see any other questions coming in. Everybody, thank you for attending, and have a great evening. Goodbye.